Good morning. I'm so glad you're here, and we have lots to talk about today. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you for turning this on. Thank you for watching. And if you have any comments or questions, please put them down in the comments so that I can track you and sort of find out what you want to learn, what you want to know. So, for those of you who know me, you know that I do these big picture conversations on Sunday about parenting, about relationships, about things that influence us. And whether it's big picture and information, whether it's perspectives, and then I always give you tools. I don't always talk about something that's specifically going on that day, right? Absolutely that day. But I'm going to today because it's like, what? What is going on? I've been preparing for this for months, and the energy today is so challenging. So first it's daylight saving because I couldn't get everything to work, right? Um, we have snow, the South. I mean, we've had weather all over the place. Let's talk about the Silicon Valley Bank situation, our politics. I mean, you name it. What's going on the outside? What's going on the inside? But what I really want to talk about is that we have two major astrological events that are happening that are going to challenge us on profound levels. Now, please understand, number one, I'm not an astrologist. I dabble in it when I need to know what's going on because I can feel it, and then I want to find out what it's about, and then I want to bring it to you and go, so this is what I'm discovering, this is what I'm thinking, this is what's happening. So I'm not an astrologist, number one. And number two, doesn't matter whether you understand what Chiron conjunct Jupiter is. Just listen to the words and tell me if there's something that I say that helps you align with understanding what it is without having to buy into or to follow astrology if that's not what you're interested in. And if you are, boy, I really hope that I'm doing it justice, right? because because there's something out there, right? So, this is astrological, this is global, this is timely, this is what's happening. So today on March 12th, Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion, and Chiron, which you've heard me talk ad nauseum, right? Denise and Chiron. So Chiron represents our deepest wounds and our greatest gifts. Well, these two are going to come together and they're going to sit side by side on a bench, shoulder to shoulder today, which means, what does that mean? It means that our individual wound or gifts, whatever's going on with those, is going to be expanded by Jupiter, which is like the world card, the one that just sort of makes everything big, right? So this doesn't happen very often. Some of the dates that came up, it's been, oh shoot, 50 years since Chiron was in Aries. And in conjunct with Jupiter, but it also comes together I think Jupiter does a 13-year cycle, right? So we're talking 2009. It met Chiron, but it was in a different sign. 1990, it met Chiron in a different sign. 1976, it met Chiron in a different sign. So this doesn't happen that often, and you can sort of go back and flag those dates, right? And find out what it is actually that was going on for you. So our hurts, the densities inside our body, are being revealed today, all day. Today's the epicenter of it. Started on February 5th and is going to go to mid-April, April 12th, 13th. So this conjunction is kind of like we're going to have a meeting and we're going to talk, right? And they start sort of slowly going together bit by bit, by bit, by bit, by bit, by bit, right? Until they're now sitting side by side and we're actually having the conversation. So the hurts that we experienced in life, the wounds that we have, um, what happens? So let me explain this in the way that I would describe relationships, relationship to yourself, relationship with your children, with your partner, with how you navigate in the world. When we have a trauma, when we have a hurt, when we have something that is um, limited our joy, limited our ability to feel free and happy in the world. What happens is that we have this pain, right? We have this little tiny thing, and then the world around us gets very tight and constricted. Yeah, I was abused as a child, or I was hurt in a marriage, or I was used by my employer. These are things that can be profoundly deep, right? And what happens when we have a wound that limits us? We get really contracted, we get really small, and the density of our world is this big, right? So what happens is that it's short, it's small, it's narrow. There's a range of feelings that are very low, as far as I have a very low threshold for pain and a very low threshold for joy. It means everything is contracted, right? So Jupiter comes along, and Jupiter's the expander. Jupiter's the one who will blow open these restricted perspectives, right? And it will ask you to go in deep. It will ask you to explore the pains. It will ask you to expand, and it will ask you to receive more. So, what happens is when Jupiter comes along, it wants to blow open our world so that our perspectives have so much more space to grow. There's a lot more air. There's receptivity. The feminine can come in, and we can start to actually breathe and thrive. So I don't think this is a bad thing. It just means that contraction that we have that's kept us really limited has an opportunity to put some breath and some air into it, right? So this is the Queen of Cups in the tarot card. And what I love about her is you can just see how her third eye, her head, her heart, everything is just open and moving. And that's receptivity. This word here is called receptivity. It's a beautiful way to look at what's possible when this Jupiter and Chiron conversation happens. So our unhealed, our ignored issues are up. They're unexplored, they're ignored, they're denied, they're unintegrated parts of ourselves that keeps us tight. Now, each of us has these. So what we're noticing is that Pam Youngins calls these the insecurities that get exaggerated. Like we exaggerate and we shut down, right? Or we can acknowledge them and become open and optimistic. But when we sit and face these with curiosity and with courage, we build our receptivity, right? We build the ability for things to flow in and out. We become more of everything, more joy, more love, more fun, more of a human. And we have more of an ability to see and interact with each other. And so this is a very timely, coming into this period of time that we're at. This is exactly what we're looking at. Now, there's a second one, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because it's a big one and it's here for 3 years, which is Saturn. It just moved into Pisces on March 7th. And March 7th, 2023, and it's going to be in Pisces for 3 years. Now, Saturn is the planet of responsibility. Radical responsibility, accountability, the one who says, hey, you said you wanted to do this, and I need to check in with you and see, is that actually happening? Is that what you want to do? Right? How are you doing with that? I always imagine Saturn as sort of like the college professor who's like, Denise, how are you doing on that? How are you doing on that dissertation? You're like, oh yeah, that's right. Or all of our culmination of our work is now in front of someone who's going to tell us, are we on track or off track, right? So it's systematic, it's orderly knowledge of ourselves. That's what Saturn wants us to have, is a systematic, orderly knowledge of ourselves. And then it sits down with Pisces for 3 years, or it goes into Pisces, which is vast, emotional, watery energy, right? Big quantum energy, where it is watery and it moon, and it's our sacral and it's our unconscious, and it says, are you paying attention to the things that are buried down there? because those are your darkest secrets. Those are your self-limiting, your self-destructive tendencies. These are the deep emotions. And so we have Chiron who's saying, can you please expand this? And we've got Saturn going, hey, if you don't know what's down there, you're just contracted and you're not participating in the world in the way that you want. Now, think about this in our parenting. Think about this in our love relationships. Think about this in the passion of how we go through work. This is not what we're here on this earth to be. This is what we're here to be. So, how do we use these two unyielding, difficult, yet beautiful challenges of Chiron with Jupiter and Saturn? So I like to personalize them and make them what's the word? Give them the personalities that I can identify with, that can be both playful and responsible, because that helps me. So first and foremost, uh, I'm a coach. This is the kind of stuff I've loved working with lately. So if this has sparked an interest in you, drop me a message and let's talk. So I have 6 tips for you. 6 tips just to sort of go through Chiron, right? So trust that these energies are stirring up something in you. Whether it's you're just irritable, you're not sleeping, you feel like these edges got a little too tight, but trust that there's something going on externally for you and for everybody on this planet, that we're all being pressed right now in this contraction and in this connection to expand. Everybody is. So I'm noticing that, wow, I'm watching people driving and cutting off and flipping off and doing things that I haven't seen in this tiny little town of Whitefish in quite some time. I'm seeing, people in the grocery store with pierced, pinched up faces. And I noticed that, oh man, what I see is a lot of pain. I see a great deal of pain. Just trust that this is going on for you and it's going on for everybody. So that's the first tip, is to actually acknowledge it and say, hey, this is going on. Number 2, take time today in this next couple of days and weeks to do something solitary. Explore what you're feeling. Explore what's inside. Kind of sit. I love this. This is the magician on in the Major Arcana on Osho. Sit and observe your feelings. If you don't know what your feelings and your thoughts and your memories and the swirling around is, then you're just going like la 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 la. I can't hear you, and that isn't going to help. So get solitary and write some of this stuff down. Acknowledge it from all sides. Sort of go find out, oh yeah, there's this, oh, there's this. This is where I feel, this is where everything that keeps happening to me tells me that this is where the contraction is. And we all have our own story. For some, it's communication. For some, it's love relationships. For some, it's productivity. For some, it's worth and value, right? So these are deep, big things. Number 3, see them and feel them, and imagine that as you pay attention to them, they get a little warmer and they start to grow, because all we have to do is face them instead of ignoring them, and they start to loosen up, and so that they can expand. This is called responding, right? When I feel something and I allow myself to sort of acknowledge, oh man, I was really hurt as a child. I've been carrying that for a long time. All you have to do is say, and then that happened. And just love on it a little bit, and it gets bigger and bigger, because what we're doing is we're expanding on what we know instead of ignoring it. Number 4, ask for help. Talk to a friend, talk to a partner, collect information, and start talking about it and feeling it and being it, right? So ask for help. Say, hey, I'm having a hard time today, and this is what I think is going on. Are you feeling anything like that? Or can I just bounce some things off of you? Like, do you think I've been kind of contracted these last couple of years? Hopefully the person you're talking to can lovingly and gently say, yeah, it's been hard to watch. And sometimes you're open and it's beautiful. And then I watch you go back in and contract. And you're like, okay, okay, I know what that is. Okay. Number 5, if you want to do more, there are therapists, right? There are coaches, there are astrologers, there are shamans, there are healers. This is something that it's what I think a lot of this awakening is about. It isn't about, expanding and everything's hunky dory and we're really, in the perfect world again. What it is that I now know how to be open and receive what's in the world. And it took me some awareness of myself in order to get there, right? So find the support that you need and ask for what you want, right? And then number 6, I have this carnelian stone, which is the stone of compassion. And I always talk about compassion. And I think that this is the time when we want to have the most compassion that we can summon for ourselves, for our journey, for the things that we've experienced in the past, for those around you that you love, for those around you that you don't love. Because there are some people you just can't be around, right? You have to sort of dig deep and find this compassion for the planet that we're all going through our soul. Gary Gazukov, Seat of the Soul, our awakening, our, come to Jesus moment where this contraction isn't working for us anymore. Okay. So, how do you flip all of this into expansion and let Jupiter be a friend of yours? That's up to you. I hope it's a really wonderful journey for you. And if you want to contact me again, you can find me down below with DeniseDryden.com. Thank you. Hang in there. And I think I'll do some more later, not right away, on Saturn in Pisces because it's fascinating to me. Meanwhile, enjoy this, pass it around, and see if it helps. Let me know. Take care. Bye-bye.